Every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. That's the way I think. That's the way I know. I know that. I don't even think that. Let me rephrase that. I know that, right? So, question is, how do you get there? How do you get to that knowing space? How do you know that everything you do works out in your favor? And everything that's done, that happens to you, works out in your favor. How do you get there? Well, it's simple, but it takes repetition and it takes a little bit of time. Okay, you're not going to just wake up today and say everything works out in my favor and know that, right? You can say that, but you're not going to know that until you know that, right? So how do you know that? First and foremost, you have to think of changing your mindset around, or changing your mindset to a certain concept is like working out. Okay, so if you've never worked out before, then you're going to feel pain, right? You're going to feel some type of discomfort. You're not going to enjoy the after effects of the workout because your body is going to be sore, right? And then your body will take time to adjust, right? And then once it adjusts, you don't feel sore anymore. And then it just becomes a regular thing for you, right? Now you're just building the muscle. You don't feel the pain so much anymore because you're just now building the muscle. So it's the same concept when changing your mindset. You are building a muscle. You are building muscle memory. You are building you're building your subconscious to adjust your mindset. So you need to start out small. So first and foremost, you need to wake up every day and say this line to yourself. And every day, every way, every day, everything works out in my favor. Or in every way, every day, everything works out in my favor. Three to five times. Every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. Every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. And every day, every way, everything works out in my favor. Say that to yourself as much as you can all day, right? That's not the end of it all though. So now let's say things like, let's say you find a parking spot in the mall that's really close to, you know what I'm saying, to where you want to be. Every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. Oh, you found $1 somewhere. Even if it's in your own house, every day, every way, everything works out in my favor. You go to the store and they got, you know what I'm saying, a 2 for $5 sale for something that you want. Every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. These little things. Oh, you were able to like call your service provider for a bill and say, hey, can I get an extension on this bill to such and such date? And they say, yeah, sure, Mr. Whoever. Sure, you can get that extension, no problem. Every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. These are the little things in life that you need to continuously check off and say, every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. You get to work on time even though there was traffic. Every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. You say this all the time for every little thing. Every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. Then your subconscious will build this attraction, and life will just start to bring you things that will just automatically work in your favor because you've built this attraction and subconscious thought pattern that every day and every way, everything works out in my favor. And then you will know it. It will no longer be a belief. It will be a knowing. And once you know it, when something doesn't work out in your favor, you will have the mentality of, well, it must have been something wrong with them and not me, so it works out in my favor. Maybe that job that you swore up and down was the best thing since sliced bread, and you want that new job because it pays more than your current job, But in reality, it probably would have drove you mad. It would have gave you more stress. You wouldn't be able to see your family, and you wouldn't have no time for yourself, and all these things. You still probably would have been suffocating on bills because the pay raise wasn't exactly what you thought it would be. So in reality, it worked out in your favor, right? Even though it didn't actually happen. Maybe the relationship went to shit because whatever reason, and you probably wouldn't have worked out. It probably wouldn't have worked out in the long run anyway. Everything works out in your favor. You see what I'm getting at? When things, quote unquote, go wrong, 9 times out of 10 is not going wrong. It's just something is a redirection in life that you needed, that you should have, because if you didn't have the redirection, your life could have turned to shit. So if you don't label it as wrong and just label it as it's just working out in your favor today, hey, it worked out in your favor. Oh, you got a flat tire today? Damn. Okay, you pull over and you're able to change the flat tire. Well, everything worked out in your favor because you were able to change the flat tire, and luckily you had thankfully enough, you had a spare in your car. And thankfully enough, no one hit you while you pulled over and changed your tire, or a stranger came by and helped you because you were struggling. Everything still worked out in your favor. If you stop labeling things wrong and label it as working out in your favor, 9 times out of 10, everything will just work out in your favor. Even when things don't happen the way you expected it to happen. 9 times out of 10, it still worked out in your favor. So it's just literally changing the label of things. And the more you say this, yes, your reality will start to catch up to what you say. Okay? It's not gonna be like, well, I started saying this today, and now today everything should work out in my favor because I started saying this today. No, it takes a little bit of space. You built a gap in between that already, right? Before, because you had negative thinking, you had a negative thought pattern that around, life maybe in general or business, and now you're trying to build this positive thought pattern. Well, it takes some little bit of space for the universe, or whoever you want to call it, God, whatever you want to call it, to catch up to your thought pattern, right? It takes a little time and a little bit of effort for your body, for your mind to catch up. Same with working out. Just because you lift some weights today doesn't mean it's going to show on your body, right? You're going to feel the pain, but that doesn't mean it's going to show up on your body and show that you've been, putting in work. Same with building a new mindset. The same thought pattern or same progress or progression with a new mindset. It's going to take a little bit of time because that's the way it works. Just that simple.